John chapter 8. One morning, Jesus went to the Mount of Olives. When the sun rose, he returned to the temple. Crowds gathered around him, eager to hear his words, and he sat down to teach them. Suddenly, the religious leaders dragged a woman into the middle of the crowd. She had been caught in the act of adultery. With stern faces, they said, "Teacher, this woman was caught in sin. The law of Moses says we should stone her. What do you say?" They were trying to trap him, hoping he'd say something they could use against him. But Jesus didn't respond. Instead, he knelt down and began writing in the dust with his finger, ignoring their accusations. They kept pressing him for an answer. Finally, he stood up and said, "If any of you have never sinned, go ahead, throw the first stone." Then he stooped down and wrote in the dirt again. The crowd fell silent, one by one, starting with the oldest. They dropped their stones and walked away, ashamed of their own sins. Soon, only Jesus and the woman were left. Jesus stood up and looked at her. "Where are your accusers?" he asked gently. "Didn't anyone condemn you?" "No one, Lord," she replied softly. "Then I don't condemn you either," Jesus said. "Go, and don't sin anymore." Later, Jesus spoke to the people again. "I am the light of the world," he said. "If you follow me, you won't walk in darkness. You'll have the light of life." The Pharisees challenged him, saying, "Your words mean nothing. You're just talking about yourself." Jesus replied, "Even if I speak about myself, what I say is true. I know where I came from and where I'm going, but you don't. You judge by human standards. I don't judge anyone, but if I did, my judgment would be right, because I am not alone. My Father, who sent me, is with me." The crowd grew more hostile, questioning him again and again. Jesus told them, "You don't know me or my Father. If you truly knew me, you would know my Father too." Some began to believe in him as he spoke about freedom and truth. He said, "If you stay faithful to my teachings, you are truly my disciples. You'll know the truth, and the truth will set you free." But others argued. "We've never been slaves," they said. "Why do we need to be set free?" Jesus replied, "Anyone who sins is a slave to sin. But if the Son sets you free, you are truly free." The tension grew as Jesus continued to speak. He told them they were following lies and didn't recognize God's truth. "If God were your Father, you would love me," he said. "But you can't even hear my words because you belong to your father, the devil. He is the father of lies, and you follow his ways." Furious, they insulted him, calling him a liar and possessed. But Jesus stood firm, saying, "If anyone keeps my words, they will never see death." The crowd scoffed. "Are you greater than Abraham or the prophets? They're all dead." Jesus answered, "Before Abraham was born, I am." At this, they picked up stones to throw at him, but Jesus slipped away, passing through the crowd unharmed.